Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 is the sequel of a game franchise that started as good X-Men games, then a Marvel adventure that got critical acclaim at the beginning of the Xbox 360's lifecycle. But 9 years later, it doesn't really hold up, with graphics that are completely terrible, a story that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and gameplay, while having a solid core, felt like it didn't know what genre it was going to be. So when the sequel came out, it didn't do as well, and it received some criticism about the lack of good alternate costumes and oversimplification on the gameplay. Isn't there any merit to the criticisms? Well, let's find out! The superhero community is divided. Due to various events that caused widespread distrust of superheroes, a new law has passed that forced superheroes to become law enforcement, while giving up their secret identities to the government. But Captain America leads a movement that wants the law to be abolished because he thinks it's going to be more harmful than helpful, while Iron Man leads a team to arrest Cap, because they believe that resisting the government will somehow lead to the destruction of Earth. Which leads to the obvious question: who will you decide? The game plays as an isometric action role-playing beat-em-up game, where you assemble a team of 4 heroes so that you can use their powers to overcome obstacles to either uphold the new law or abolish it. The levels are mostly linear corridors with objectives that needs to be accomplished. Usually find a switch or destroy specific objects. Most of the levels features a character from the Marvel Universe as the boss of the mission. In between missions, you can explore the current HQ to talk to various NPCs to get more information on upcoming events that will likely occur in your next mission. The goal is to help Iron Man to arrest Captain America or join Cap on the road of abolishing the Superhero Registration Act. So let's talk about the graphics. While the character models and faces look good, the hair unfortunately look fake by modern standards. And the locations you go through look completely fake and bland. The best location to showcase the problem with the graphics is Wakanda. The plant light looks completely fake and paper-like. On the sound department, the voice acting is meh. Most of the actors are okay with the characters they are portraying, and they even get the proper accents for some of the more foreign characters. But the music is completely forgettable. None of the soundtracks stood out other than the title theme, but it's every menu theme that can be easily be replaced by any other video game theme. As for problems with the game's story, the narrative itself ends up implying that Captain America is in the right, because, spoilers, Iron Man along with Mr. Fantastic and Hank Pym ends up making an artificial intelligence to control supervillains, which if you watch any movie involving making an AI can guess the result. You know, maybe the law should have been against scientific geniuses than superheroes, because they seem to cause more trouble than the superheroes would. Another misstep in the narrative is more of an issue of wasted potential. You see, the game has a conversation system that gives 3 options of dialogue that follows either an aggressive, diplomatic, or a defensive path that only serves to give players points to unlock a special buff, but nothing else, which is sad because this system could have been more involved than just making dialogue choices that doesn't affect the outcome of certain smaller encounters. Some of which are the boss fights of the game, which are more like damage sponges rather than giving an actual challenge to the player, unless there are multiple of them fighting your team at the same time. Other encounters are special conversation with specific characters which usually occur in the current HQ. The problem comes when the character you can talk to as an NPC becomes the player character. That character won't speak at all, which can be very annoying. Another major problem that is also prevalent in the entire series is the control setup, which has the top button as your jump button, the left button be grabbing and interacting, while the bottom and right buttons are your light and heavy attack respectively, which can be awkward and they can't be remapped. A minor complaint on my end, but it can still be an issue to other people.
But the worst crime of mediocrity that this game commits is that the costumes are not as good as the first one.
The gameplay has been mostly unchanged, but with major tweaks that made the game both more simple to play and more fun. The biggest changes in the gameplay are the leveling system and the team customization. The leveling system in the game stays true to the general idea of getting 1 point to upgrade one of your powers, and currency to upgrade your passive abilities. But instead of picking from a menu of powers to give your heroes different sets, instead they went for the MOBA approach by limiting to just 4 powers. Instead they give each hero more passive abilities to level up that sets apart each hero by their passives. Though some of the passives for most of the heroes are locked based on which side you choose that can change the gameplay style for any character. The other big change is the way you customize your team. In the earlier games, you can only save and switch team members on special locations in some of the levels that glow. Instead, you can save and switch your team anytime! Don't like how Iron Man plays? Then just pause the game and switch him with Deadpool and you're good to go. Which makes the game more fun because you don't have to worry about special points in one of the levels that allow you to switch characters and save your progress. Also, the revival system is simplified from waiting to a certain amount of time for your favorite character to be revived. You just have to get special tokens that can instantly revive your fallen heroes. You get these tokens either from enemies or utilize a new mechanic that is exclusive to this game.
Using.
The fusion mechanic is a special meter that can be filled by doing damage to the enemies that allows 2 members of the party combine their powers to do visually impressive super moves that can either do massive damage to bosses or clear a room full of enemies.
But that's not the best part. The best part is the story and how it affects gameplay.
The one word I describe the story is tight. It never felt like it stopped all of a sudden or deviates from the overall story, and it helps that the story actually affects gameplay. At the beginning of Act 2, the player is given the choice to either register or rebel. No matter your choice, you will lose access to certain heroes that are affiliated on one side until the 3rd act of the game.
You know it would be bad if Activision had the game be split into 2 games, forcing you to pay for both of them to see both sides of the conflict, and both games having the exact same story ending. I know, right? That would have been terrible!
But that's not the only way the story affects gameplay. The collectibles actually add more to the story, which includes dossiers about the heroes, villains, and locations throughout the game, along with audio logs that does fill in a lot of character moments for heroes that doesn't get much development if you just play straight through the campaign. And remember those special conversations I talked about earlier? Even though having the characters actually talking would have made it better, what we got is still pretty good, and they actually add more to the story and give its characters actual development.
Game is actually pretty good, but not this version. This is the PS2 version. It doesn't hold up.
Is it perfect?
No!
The visuals don't hold up, the control scheme is weird and can't be remapped, the voice acting is okay, the bosses are complete bowl sponges, and the music is completely forgettable. But this game instead improves everything else that the franchise failed at. The story is cohesive and have an effect on gameplay along with being entertaining. The changes to the gameplay made it easier to pick up and play, yet still given enough depth to last until the end of the game. And the replay value is pretty good, with finding all the collectibles and playing both sides will last you for a good while.
I'm the Holy Ninja, and go Team Cap!